up, YouTube? I'm back with a deck profile on a Magistus Charmer Synchro deck, and I really like it. I hope y'all do too. It'll also be getting some new support coming up in Burst of Destiny, so I'm really excited about that as well. I'll probably do an update to this deck list then. Something to know about Charmer decks is that they can be run 1,000 different ways. You usually have to mix them with other support to make them good at all. So there's a bunch of different engines you can run. I like the Magistus engine. I think it's really fun, and I hope y'all enjoy it. Alright, we'll start off with our starters, which will be Yugioh, the Magistus of Flame. When you normal summon him, you get to use his effect to equip a Magistus extra deck monster, which we typically will be going into the Artemis, the Link 1. We'll equip that to him. That triggers his effect to let you special a Spellcaster level 4 monster from your hand or graveyard, which is very good to get into your plays. Then you can activate that Artemis that you have and add a Magistus monster from your deck to your hand, which then lets you special it using the one other Magistus we run. I'll get to that later. Next up, we have 3 Witch of the Black Forest. I know it's a strange starter, but because you can just normal summon her and then link off into Artemis, that lets you then search out the next monster we'll go into, which can special summon himself from hand without activating an effect, so you can still get what you need. And that card is the Nefarious Archfiend, Eater of Nefarious. Now this card is wonderful because if you control a spellcaster, you can just special summon him. You can only control one of him at a time, but that's not a once per turn summoning condition. So even if you link or synchro this away, if you have another in hand and you control a spellcaster, you can bring out that second and third one. Next up, we have probably the heart and soul of the Charmer deck is the Awakening of the Possessed Nefarious Archfiend, which is a level 5 monster that you can, as a summoning condition, special summon from your deck using this monster. So if you control a spellcaster and an earth monster, you can send those to the grave to special summon him from your deck. You don't activate anything, you just dig in there, you grab him and bring him out. When he is special summoned that way, you can summon a level 4 or lower monster from your graveyard, but you negate the effects. And when he leaves the field, you can search out a Possessed Spell or Trap or the Spiritual Earth art, which I don't run. So it lets you search a Possessed Spell or Trap and brings back a monster when you summon him. That's really good for bringing back like Witch of the Black Forest or some of the other ones we run that have effects when they go to graveyard. Next we run 1 Familiar Possessed Asa. Usually you would use this with the quick play spell that we might run, that I'll talk about later. And she's alright, but honestly she's basically a vanilla in the deck. It comes up that you do need her though. I run 1 Crowley, the Magistus of Grimoires. This one's important for the combo because you search it off of the Zerora, and then you can discard a spell card or send a spell card from hand or face up on the field to the graveyard to special him, and he can change his attribute, which means that you can control a spellcaster and then change his attribute to earth, and then that lets you bring out your Nefarious. Next up, I run 2 Dogmatica Ecclesia. The reason you run this is because it has 1500 defense, is in a spellcaster level 4, and so you can bring her back and search her out and do all sorts of things with the Charmer support, which really supports 1500 defense spellcasters. So you can bring her out with the trap card, get your search on your opponent's turn so it didn't lock you out of your extra deck, things like that. It's also just a really good card and extender if there is a extra deck monster on the field. So overall, just a pretty cool card to have. I probably would also run the Nadir's Servants if I had them, so once the Megatons come out, I probably will run those. That's just something to kind of note. Next up, I run a small Before Mage engine, Hat Trick specials himself from the hand, Trick Clown specials from grave, and Damage Juggler searches the other two. Next, I run one Iris Sword Soul. This is almost more in preparation for the upcoming support in Burst of Destiny, where we get a new Ecclesia monster that can special this from the deck as a quick effect, also 1500 defense, spellcaster, and is also a tuner. So I can't wait for that. When that comes out, this deck will get much better. But whenever you control a negated monster, you can bring this out. And when you use the roar effect to special a monster, that monster is going to be negated, so you can bring her out. Also, whenever you use the Nefarious or Archfiend, the monster it brings back is negated, so you can special her out. Very easy to summon in this deck. I might want to run one or two more once the Burst of Destiny support comes out. Next, I run Quick Draw Synchron. This monster is to go into Tzolkin. So it's a level 5 Synchro. You can bring out your Nefarious or Archfiend easily, which is a level 5 non-tuner. This makes a level 5 tuner, so it's easy Tzolkin plays. Next, I run 3 Ash Blossom because it's one of the best hand traps and it's very generic and it's just pretty good. Next, I run 2 Awakening of the Possessed. This protects all of your familiar possessed and charmers from card destruction, and it lets you draw a card whenever you summon a spellcaster monster with 1850 attack. It also increases all of your monsters by 300 attack for each different attribute you control. So if you control a light and a dark, then that is a 600 boost to each of your monsters. If you have 2 of these on the field, that would be a 1200 increase for 2 attributes. And then it's a 1500 increase for 3 attributes, an 1800 increase for 4 attributes per monster. So it can really stack up quickly and lets you OTK unexpectedly by grabbing these and searching them out. Next, I run 3 Spirit Charmers, which is the honestly one of the best cards in the deck as far as just getting you what you need. It's a quick play. You discard 1 card to add a Charmer, Familiar Possessed, or Possessed Spell and Trap to your hand, and then set another of those cards to the field. So you can set a trap or set the Awakening of the Possessed, search out a Charmer. You can do any combination of those, and it's a quick play which can come up every now and then. It's just really good. Next up, I have 3 Ready Fusion. This lets you bring out a lot of the different things that I play, like Sea Monster of Theseus, which is a level 5 tuner, or Flower Wolf, which is an Earth level 5 non-tuner, or some other things like Sandwich, which is a spellcaster that lets you get into your Nefarious plays or into your Tzolkin plays. Similar to that, I play an Instant Fusion, more or less just to be another Ready Fusion. I then play a tuning to search the Quick Draw Synchron. You could adjust the ratios on how many tunings and Quick Draw Synchrons you want to play, but I think just having one of the tuning, or I probably would play maybe more tunings and less Quick Draws if I had another tuning. I just don't have one right now. But the ratios kind of don't matter too much. Next up, I play a Monster Reborn, Called by the Grave, and a Foolish Burial. They're just kind of power cards in the deck, and Foolish can get you into your Trick Clown, which brings itself back, so it helps get a spellcaster to the field quickly. Next up are the traps, and I've got 2 Possessed Partnerships, which is the Charmer version of Dogmatic Punishment, you could say. It summons a 1500 defense spellcaster monster from your graveyard, and then if you control 2 different attributes, you get to pop any card on the field. Also, you can banish it from the graveyard to place face up any possessed continuous spell or trap, so you can get back your Awakening of the Possessed or your Unpossessed card, which I'll get into later. Like, this card is wonderful. It's easily searchable when you send your Nefariouser from the field to the graveyard, and it just gives you so much advantage because usually you can bring back stuff like Dogmatica Ecclesia. So you bring back an Ecclesia, pop a card, and then search a punishment, which is just really good advantage. Next up, I play 2 Dogmatica Punishment. Like I just mentioned, it's searchable and is just overall very strong. It does lock you out of your extra deck, so you need to be careful when using it. Make sure that you don't need to summon from the extra deck the next turn. Lastly, I play 1 Unpossessed. It's a really good card for tempo because whenever a monster you control is destroyed, you can bring out a 1500 defense spellcaster monster from your deck in face-up attack or face-down defense position. This lets you bring out and search things like Ecclesia to then add a Dogmatica Punishment, or to just start getting cards that let you make plays later, and or just to protect yourself. It's really good recursion and overall a strong card. You only play it at 1 because it's very searchable, and you can set it back to the field with your partnerships if it does get removed. For the extra deck, I play 1 Ultimaya Tzolkin, which is just a super cool card. I really like it. I try to play it in a bunch of different decks, but one's been very successful. Going along with that, I play a Crystal Wing and a Beals, which are just kind of easy negation with Tzolkin, and then later, if you get another turn with him, you would summon out Beals, and that's just kind of a hard card to remove and just a big 3000 beater. Next, I play a Borreload Savage Dragon. A lot of your combos leave like an extra tuner and another 4 on the field. You can go into Beals easy, and you almost always have your Artemis in the grave, so you can at least get 1 negate equipped to him, so that's no problem at all. I also play Draco Berserker of the Tinny, which is really good for OTKs, and a quick effect banish effect, which is very nice. And last for the Synchros, I play a Stellar Wind Wolfrayet. This card is essentially a Zeus for the deck. It shuffles back your opponent's monster and itself when it has 4000 attack. Funny thing is, your Awakening of the Possessed boosts its attack by 300 for each different attribute you have on the field, and you're probably going to at least have 1 or 2 easily. And when you make this using the Zorora and the Nefariouser triggers and searches out like a Possessed Partnerships or something, which then automatically makes his effect happen, and you already gain 300. It is so easy to start your opponent's turn with around 4000 attack or maybe 37, and then they activate a single effect and his effect is online. Or you chain something, bring out like a Ecclesia, trigger your own effect, and bring his attack to 4000 so that his effect is ready to go. And since you can recur all of your stuff, it's so easy to go back into him after you shuffle him into your deck for his effect. Next up, I play 2 of the Link Charmers. I play the Light one and the Earth one. So typically, you can end on these, and it gives yourself with the other cards you have in here. If you have the Awakening of the Possessed, it lets you draw a card when you go into it, and it boosts its attack, makes it unkillable by card effects. It can steal stuff from your opponent from Earth or Light. So there are a bunch of different utilities for these, and they, especially if you have Unpossessed, can't be destroyed by battle, can't be destroyed by card effect. When they swing with the Unpossessed out, it gives it 800 extra attack on top of the boost from other things like Awakening of the Possessed. If they're ever destroyed, you get back resources. So it's just overall a really good card, usually for tempo or if you just want to swing really hard. Last for the links, I play an Artemis, the Magistus Moon Maiden. I almost want to bump this up to 2 just because I feel like I can go into it, but you can re-equip it with Crowley, and you can do other things like that, so it does end up fine just to have the 1. but she lets you go into your combos with both the Zorora and the Witch of the Black Forest. So she's very important to have at least one of. Next we have the fusions I play, which I run 2 Sea Monster of Theseus because it's a level 5 tuner, 1 Flower Wolf because it's an Earth level 5 non-tuner, Sandwich because it is a spellcaster, and then I run 1 Elder Entity Metis to send with the Dogmatica Punishment. All of these are mainly for the Ready Fusion and the Instant Fusion. Lastly, I run an Abyss Dweller because you have a bunch of level 4s. Many times you end with 2 on the field, so you can go into this plus your other combo and just lock out your opponents if they rely on the graveyard. That's it for my Magistus Charmer Synchro deck. If you have any questions or comments, please comment below. Also, please leave a like and a subscribe if you like the video and want to see more content. I am the Shina Duelist, and I will see you all next time.